Once again, I find myself in northeastern Pennsylvania for what is undeniably the hands-down largest gathering of everything Mopar. This is the 31st year of this show and the 50th anniversary of the promoter, Carlisle events. Rob Wolf reporting from the Southern Mopar World for July of 2024. Chrysler's at Carlisle. On Thursday night, there is a pre-car show gathering across the street from the official fairgrounds. It has grown into quite the to-do. This year, that's where I began my search for the coolest of the cool Mopars. All right, Nick, tell me about this one. It's pretty cool.
All right, so this is a 71 Duster that I bought from a towing yard.
All right, how old are you?
I'm 22 years old.
Okay.
I built the entire car in my driveway on my back on jack stands. It was a slant 6, 3 on the tree car.
Right.
I put frame rails in the car. Built subframe connectors for it. My buddy did all the cage work. I did the front struts. I did everything on the motor swap, trans, rear end. It's all original paint, original decals, so what you see is what it is.
So this would be something that I would have built, and I'm 56. So what inspired someone young like you to build this car?
What's sitting in the passenger seat?
And what's that?
Sox and Martin.
Oh, okay.
So, since I was a kid, I've always been fascinated with 70s Pro Stocks, Sox and Martin. The color schemes. So that's signed by Ronnie Sox. The car itself was signed by Herb McCandless and Buddy Martin last year. I actually have the Herb McCandless dinner to go to in probably like a half an hour.
Cool.
So
and
he likes the car. He's seen it.
You did the hood scoop yourself?
I did the hood scoop.
Yeah.
I did all the leathering. I tried to weather it so it looks like an older Superbird car. But this car was bone stock, unmolested. I'm the person that molested it. So, but I did everything in early 70s Pro Stock fashion. It's not 100% Pro Stock spec. Right. But it's drivable. Yeah. I mean, to an extent. It's got 410s, open headers, and slicks, so you can only get so drivable out of that.
It's a great look, man. You did a great job on it.
Appreciate it.
I can't think of a better way to get this Mopar party started than with the sweet sound of a blown Hemi with Zoomies pipes, compliments of this drag boat.
On social media throughout the year, we've been posting a video that is a 50th retrospective. And in that video, there is footage of Bill and the late Chip Miller, our two co-founders, talking about the birth of the Chrysler show and how it was essentially something that an idea was pitched to them, and then they went about putting it together in a very short period of time. Well, all of these years later, the show continues to grow. Ed said in our preview video that we broke a show field record last year. We anticipate doing so again this year. We know the Chrysler 300 is a popular car here at the show, but 3,000 is now our standard number for the Carlisle Chrysler Nationals. We anticipate and expect at least 3,000 cars on our show field, and there's no reason why we shouldn't reach that number. And if you've got a friend that's on the fence about coming out, it's going to be warm, but guess what? It's summer. It gets warm in central Pennsylvania, so just encourage them to come out and be part of what we expect to be Mopar history.
Come on, let's get loud. Do we have any Mopar fans? This is the place to be. This is where Chrysler belongs. And I just want to give special thanks to Ed Baziski for all of his work. And I want to also thank Bill Adams, right here, Robert Soule, and his wife Lakita, she's here, right down there, and Rex Roy. And I just want to give them a special thanks. They're from the WPC Club, and we are having a big event next year. It's going to be the Chrysler 100 event. And it's going to go back to the early days of Chrysler. Now, this whole event here is Mopar muscle, generally. But we're going to go back to the early years and the later years, because I want everyone to know the complete history of the Chrysler Corporation, how it started. We're going to have the early cars. We're going to have a lot of military vehicles. If you know that during World War II and the Vietnam War and Korea, they supplied a lot of our ordnance. I think it's very special that we're going to be here with the WPC Club, and here is the flyer. Now we're going to be handing this out to everyone. At the end of this event, please go down to Building R. That's where you can sign up for this event. And one thing I want to say, we're going to have a parade here, and we're going to have a large parade. You can sign up, you're going to have a number on your car, and as you ride through, right here, we're going to announce everyone's car, everything special about the car. It's going to be a long day, and I'm hoping everyone will be here, and tell your friends. And thank you to the WPC Club for what they've done. This is a lot of history. Chrysler is one of the most historical companies that this country has ever seen. They've produced so many vehicles, so much product, that it's beyond comparison. And thank you very much. And again, Ed, I really appreciate you hosting this. You've done a great job. You're the glue that's holding all these cars together right here in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. Again, Mopar fans, let's go!
Frank Rhodes Jr. So you are Walter P.
The great-grandson.
Great-grandson.
Yes, sir. Okay.
And this is the family Bible, you say. How long
Can
is
you
this?
open the cover again real quick? Sure.
How long has this book been together?
I don't know when my grandparents did. I think they probably did it soon after Walter P. passed away.
Right.
Because they started, we have films, I have all kinds of great memorabilia.
Right.
And I have a little museum at my shop where I have the tools and original photographs and just, I'm bragging a little bit. I got a lot of cool stuff.
Oh, that's all good stuff. I heard you had the original toolbox of Walter P. also, which is incredible.
And I want to bring it here next year.
Awesome.
Got all the tools, and it's got the original case. And I have a picture next to it where it resided in the Chrysler building in the salon up near the top of the building. So, and it was in there by itself. It's pretty cool.
It's awesome.
So, okay.
So this was put together by your grandparents in theory.
Yes, in theory. I like that word. That's good. I'm just going to go through this sort of fast. We can look at it later. This is, you can just read the
Okay.
captions. This is just really early stuff.
So where's your family originally from?
Well, Chrysler was born in Kansas in a town called Wamego, and then they moved to Ellis, Kansas after about 2 years. And the reason they were out there is Walter's father was the head that when the trains would come, when they were building the new outward bound camps for the railroads, he was one of the lead engineers that would take. And Ellis is really important because it's surrounded by water. There's a creek that runs around it. And there's an old Indian tale that when water comes around a town, it makes the tornadoes and the move the opposite.
Go around it?
Nah, that's what I've heard. Who knows? This is some really cool stuff here, though.
So when did he move from Ellis, Kansas to Detroit?
Well, he moved, first of all, he traveled all around the country as a journeyman mechanic and as an apprentice on the railroads. And he moved to different cities all out west.
He was in Cheyenne, he was in Salt Lake City.
Yes, all those towns. And then he came back and he was hired by the American Locomotive Company to be the superintendent at what's it called? I guess superintendent.
The head guy.
The head manager, the works manager. That's what I was trying to say. He was the works manager at the American Locomotive Company. And I collect models.
Pittsburgh, right?
Yes, it was Alco Locomotive Company. Then here's his toolbox. And here's a picture of him right there when he was a journeyman mechanic.
How old would he be in that time frame?
I would say in his 20s.
He's young, huh?
Yeah, I would say in his 20s. Maybe, yeah, probably in his 20s. There's his toolbox. I got all the tools. There's the car. That's his brother.
So that's the first car?
Yeah, that's the car he bought and took apart.
Okay.
That's the locomobile that he bought, took apart and wrecked.
Yeah.
Drove into a ditch.
Oh, did he?
And then there's a barn that's still around where he did it out west somewhere. I don't know where the town is.
But he borrowed, the guy he borrowed money to buy that car.
Yeah,
right?
he borrowed there it is.
$5,000.
the guy had a lot of belief in him, you know.
That's a lot of money back
Didn't
then.
he end up being one of the bankers that he worked for, rescuing companies?
Yes, I think I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
he did.
Mm-hmm.
Phil, me and
Building
I.
relationships.
That's my grandmother, and that's her sister, and I think that's her brother.
Okay.
Bernice, yeah, that's my grandmother. And then I'm glad we didn't do this inside because a lot of people. Forker was Mrs. Chrysler. That was her family, the
Okay.
Forker family.
Yeah, Della was her name, right?
Yes. There's the whole family. Bernice, Thelma, Jack, and Walter Thelman. Look at his hair. Family portraits back then. Just early stuff there. Now he got hired at Buick, I think it was he went to General Motors working for Durant around 1912, but he was hired as the president of Buick around 1916.
Yeah.
And then he was the manager of the whole General Motors company from 1919 to 1920, and he had a big falling out with Durant. Chrysler was making all the money, and Durant was spending it on stupid stuff. Like, remember his tractor he had with the...
Well, didn't he walk out of the office basically saying, "You're either pay me $1 million a year or I'm out of here"?
Yeah,
and
he
Durant
got-
said, "Get it. You'll never work in this business again, Chrysler."
Yeah. Now, one thing I'm looking for at Buick, I want to find it. There's a signed autograph. This might be it right here, but it's all signed by the players. I'd like to find that. He was at Buick. Isn't that cool, though? Look, his Buick team. Look, Buick is one of the biggest brands today. Chrysler is the one that brought it out of the slump. And Durant Durant was a smart guy. He knew how to hire people, but he spent his money too fast. You know, he died with nothing, I think. He was totally broke. There's some really cool stuff coming up. So let's see. This is, I know a lot of these guys. Nash. Now they used to go to this French Lick Springs a lot. I have big posters. I have this in a huge poster. It's like this, not the size, like half the size of that car. You know, they like to go there. Later. Picture. Look, they're looking over at the boys. The poor. Oh, maybe they're looking out the window. I don't know. That's not a he-she kind of thing. Look at these guys. The titans of industry. But I got an original on this guy here, Alfred Sloan and Kettering and Champion and all those guys. Look at those cars.
Yeah, A.P. Sloan. There's still an endowment from him. A huge endowment.
I don't want to rip these pages. That's why I'm going slow, guys. He was big into baseball. I do know that. By the way, I've got tons of these magazines.
Oh, do you?
Original, yeah, I've got just so much stuff. If you ever come to my place, I have a lady helping me. Everything's being organized, and I have it all in file cabinets. And one thing I'm working on right now is the space program, because I met all the engineers about 30 years ago, and I have all the memorabilia when Chrysler was doing that. And we're going to do a book, and it's going to be incredible because they can talk about Elon Musk and Boeing. Chrysler is the one that got the whole thing started. No one even knows that. Because when the V2, after World War II, the V2 rockets came over, and Chrysler was hired to build a rocket. Isn't that a cool picture? This is his buddy in Ellis. They used to play, they throw dice. I don't know, some big game they had back then. Could you imagine driving in the middle of Kansas in his new car? How cool that would have been. I mean, think about it. I mean, this really wasn't, this is 100 years ago. I mean, 100 years is a long time, but not that long of time. I mean, this is Great Neck, which when he died, the family gave that to the Maritime Museum. Now, how cool is this? He would take his boat, the Frolic, from his estate over to the Chrysler building. That's awesome. Well, it's his wife. There's a fair amount of cool stuff coming up this. Guess he and Joe Biden or Trump can go play golf. Okay, so I have this original picture. It's framed and it's so cool. Look at the guys that are in it. There's a picture. Oh, this guy right here. I'm gonna sit down in this chair. My back's getting a little sore. This guy right here, Tobe Couture, he was the guy that when the first Chrysler came out, you know, remember the original engine that came out?
Yes.
When they took it off a ride, he said, this ain't good enough. So he took it back, and that's when he made the 7-bearing, he made the engine a little bigger so you can go up a hill without shifting. And he sold Chrysler on that. That was the main deal about that first Chrysler 6. And this guy, I have some articles on him. He was the man. Not many people know about him.
Well, I always wondered why Chrysler was involved with the early marine stuff.
Well, might be because his boat. I don't know.
Well, it looks like he was into maritime stuff.
He was into marine stuff. Yeah. That's a good question. I mean, I have a whole collection of marine books that Chrysler. That's a cool looking boat. There's a certain name for that boat, and I've looked for it.
Frolic.
No, I know it's a Frolic, but it's a type of boat, and I can't remember the name, but I don't think that one is around. But then again, who knows? I'd love to find it, but that's when they went to. There's some really cool ones coming up. That's my grandfather, Ed Garvish. He was the captain of the Army team in 1928, and he scored 4 drop kick touchdowns. They were the only thing. He was a very well-known player, and he became a colonel in the Army during World War II, but he didn't go overseas. He stayed here and was a liaison between Chrysler and the government for all the contracts and stuff. Here's the building of the Chrysler building. I hope we get a lot of people to sign up for this event next year.
Well, I think you will.
I have the original one of this too. It's framed and it's got a little stain on the bottom, but I got the original one. It's really cool. I'm not trying to brag about stuff, but I got it.
That's all cool stuff.
Now, one thing I have, okay, this is his office at the Chrysler building. I have the original of that. But I have a whole bunch of Margaret Bourke-White paintings. I don't know if you know anything about her photography work. She's pretty well known. Of the Chrysler building in my shop. It's my grandfather and his wife. We're almost done, guys. We're almost finished. 47, 48 to 49. Now, I grew up during the summers at this place, Pocody Farms. It was in Cambridge, Maryland. It's the coolest place. My grandparents had a big collection of early American furniture. Oh, I was spoiled rotten down there. The grandkids always are spoiled rotten. Oh, we have a whole bunch of Amelia Earhart pictures with the family.
Really?
Oh yeah, I got some cool stuff. And this is really cool with the Washington D.C. the museum or the Smithsonian over at the National
Well, Chrysler
Park.
sponsored a lot of the early, that Dodge video I was telling you about, the guys, the dealer. In
Yeah, he
Dodge Center.
sponsored this whole crew,
They were
and
the-
it's written in one of the Chrysler magazines up. Remember when the museum was up there? They had a whole article, and I gave him some stuff. But he sponsored this whole trip. In fact, I'm pretty sure I've checked into it. Some of the offspring of some of these animals are still there, but I can't. You know. They had a little elaborate weddings. Huh. I'm going through this. Sometimes I notice stuff that I haven't noticed before, so just... Okay, now Jack's son is still alive. He lives in New York. He's not doing too well. There he is there. He's a nice guy. His son is.
Wasn't there one of the Chryslers that was in a Southern California area?
Yes, Jack.
Jack
Chrysler Jr.
Now, you said his son he's still, but he's
Jack's
in New York?
Jr., Walter Chrysler's son Jack is dead, but his son is still alive.
And he's in New York?
Yes. People tell me I have his same nose too. I don't know if you noticed that.
Yeah.
Same nose. Like,
well, in a lot of the documentaries, haven't they? Because you kind of look like you're like.
well, I'm not going to say it, but I think I do. I look at pictures of myself, but I'm not like, as I said, I'm not like, I don't want to go on that stage and say, Walter Chrysler's my great-grandfather. I just can't do that. Maybe it's just, I got to get over that, but you know, people want to hear about the man and about the product and about what they're doing here. I'm going to let that ring. We're almost done here, guys. What is this? He's getting old. You can see he's getting old there. I don't know what year that was, but now we have this portrait, and I have a whole bunch of portraits of them, original ones. I'd like to get them all together someday, because some of them are out at our museum in Kansas.
Now, you guys still work with that museum is owned by the city, the town of Ellis.
City of Ellis, yeah.
But a lot of the stuff in the house, you guys still, you have the car, right? The 70?
Yeah, I have. It's a. Well, they say when I bought it was a 24, but when someone came out there, they said it's a 25. I don't care. It's the same.
So then it's either a Model B or a Model B7.
You'd know when you go out there. But these are all just. We're almost done. That's Bernice. That's my grandmother. That's her husband Ed Garvish. That's my mom. That's Walter Jr. He was on the boards of the. I didn't bring it. I have. When Chrysler died, I have all the Zeter skill and all their signatures on the. Oh wow! Isn't that a cool picture there? Hey, I got to brag a little bit. In my workshop, I have an office I build on the second floor, and I have a 3-car lift. And my 300, I can put any of them right up there when I'm working at my desk. There it is. I had to say that. I don't tell that to everyone, but I don't care. I'm at the age.
It's pretty neat. It's neat. Well, we all like, you know, oh.
Here's
Here's the soda.
I guess this was a DeSoto plan or something. Oh yeah, 1933. So DeSoto built. Didn't they build all the engines for the B29, or was it Dodge? One of them did.
What Dodge did?
You know, the thing about the airflow, I guess they pushed it out too far because they wanted to beat everyone else because they knew everyone was coming. But you know, they had problems with the frame, I guess. And
yeah.
Then there was some guy that claimed that he owned the airflow name, and Chrysler had to pay him so much money for each car, or some ridiculous. I don't know. But he doesn't, in his book, his autobiography, he doesn't mention anything about the airflow.
No. I think he was still kind of raw over it.
I don't care. I think it's cool.
Yeah, at this point, it's become a real icon. And the Classic Car Club has recognized them as full classics.
Look,
not all of them.
It's not like the Edsel, which was a total, like, you know. Yeah, I have this picture too, which is cool. I have all those cool pictures. My grandmother saved a lot of this stuff, so I'm really. Ooh, what is this? Okay, now this is a really cool. Okay, so at Pokety Farms, which I was telling you before, Chrysler used to grow a lot of tomatoes, and in Cambridge there was this company called Phillips Packing, which at the time, before World War II, was the largest packing company in this country. If you look up Phillips, they had all kinds of stuff. So Chrysler challenged Phillips to a deal, who can grow more tomatoes on, I don't know how much of a land it was, it was a certain amount, on an acre of land. And he bet him a dinner in New York City at the Waldorf Astoria. Well, Phillips won. Chrysler probably wanted him to win because he went to his party. But so they took everyone from Cambridge up there, and they had this huge dinner, and it was called Tomato Justice. And there's a book on it. There's a book on tomato. I have the book at home, not on this, but it's a book on tomato factories in the country. And there's a whole section on this whole party. Imagine they took all those guys up there, and that's the end. But this is a really special event.
Walter was quite competitive, from what I'm guessing.
Oh yeah, just like he left the.
Obviously, the titans of industry, you got to be super competitive.
That's why Durant didn't want him to, he bought that factory, and Chrysler really wanted that factory. Was it a Nash factory that he was trying, and Durant outbid him? It was a $6 million factory, and Chrysler wanted it because with it went his new car. So he had to start from scratch, so Chrysler car could have been out 2 or 3 years earlier. But that being said, he kept going, and that Durant didn't like him because he knew he was good.
Yeah.
He knew if he got out there, he was going to,
So we're sneaking up on the 100th anniversary, guys. And so tell me about what you have planned for next year.
So next year, I would like to have the largest gathering of Chrysler products ever seen in this country.
And we're going to do it right here at Carlisle, right?
Yes, right here at Carlisle. And I think they have the room, because Chrysler built all kinds of things during World War II, cars from the 20s, 30s, and 40s. Most of the cars here are muscle cars, which there's nothing wrong with that, but let's expand everyone's knowledge.
So you want to bring the early stuff in? Do you want to bring the oddball stuff that they built in?
All
everything?
Kinds of oddball stuff.
In fact, special displays about early Chrysler racing, like Louis Chevrolet raced a Chrysler. Quite successful. All the early history and how it all ties in today.
Right.
It's the same spirit that is continued through the whole country.
So how do guys get in touch with you for that event? Are they going to go through Carlisle to register, or you guys, or how does that work?
In conjunction with Chrysler of Carlisle, so you register from Carlisle like you regularly do.
Right.
And the WPC Club is also partnering with Carlisle events to do it together. And
is your ad in there in the magazine?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. The magazines.
Yep.
I think this is going to be a monumental event because we're going to have this parade, and I did one 35 years ago in Ellis, Kansas. And about a month before we were starting, people were just calling right and left they wanted to join. That's what's going to happen here. Everyone at the last minute, can I get in? Can I get in? And we had this parade. We had a big concession stand, just like we have up there, and the cars came through. Now, this car could be number 30, it might be the first car. Or that car could be number 250. I'll just have the numbers, you'll give me the sheets, and I'm going to read all the details about the owner of the car, a little bit of history. I'm not going to go crazy because it's going to be a long day. Maybe we'll have an hour off for lunch or something. And I'd like to get some special people here from Chrysler to come down. You know, maybe they can read a few cars. You can read a few. Let's just read off a list.
And the Chrysler 100 event, we're going to take over the Expo Center.
Across the street.
Across the street.
Yep.
We're still figuring out the times, but you know, pay attention. It'll be in the Expo Center, so we'll have a special deal over there. Everybody will know the time, and then it will be filtered all throughout the event. So again, once in a lifetime event.
Only 100 years, one time.
You gotta come.
Yep, agreed. So.
And I did go into the thing about the military stuff. I've been to a lot of shows. Chrysler built so much ordnance, and there's all kinds of command cars and the M37. And I had someone that said he's going to bring a Chrysler tank. I can't verify it, but we're going to park it right on that hill up there.
We need some Chrysler Marine stuff too.
Oh,
so,
I've got engines. We need boats and all that stuff.
We'll work on that.
I have a pair of outboard racing engines, 150 with the pipes that come out the back. I don't know how I'd get them up here, but yeah, the marinas are very
that was a big piece of it. Yeah.
And Chrysler bought a boat company. It was the Lone Star Boat Company in '65, I think, and that became the Chrysler Marine. Well,
There's
Chrysler
a lot of them
Marine
out
started,
there.
and then it ended when, of course, in '79. I think was the
Or
last.
they sold Marine.
They
I
had
think
to sell it to
in
Mercury.
I think they sold it in '82 because I remember seeing some.
Well, Korea, yeah, it was
Manai Coca came in.
Yeah.
Didn't he come in what
He
year?
came in '78 or '9.
Well, all I can say is I could be wrong, but he picked the wrong guy to take over Chrysler. But Bob Lutz really wanted it, but there was something between Bob Lutz and Iacocca that wasn't there. But who knows what Bob Lutz would have done? But he was a Chrysler go-getter. I mean, he came out with the Viper and all the Prowler and all those bizarre cars. I mean, those were lost leaders. People say, "Man, I want to go see a Viper." Well, their kids will want to see it, and then they'll go buy a Chrysler product. We need more of that gusto. We need more of that energy these days.
We need car guys running car companies.
That's what the spirit of the Hellcat. People, don't do it, don't do it. Hey, let's do it. And they did it successfully. So hopefully we can keep that spirit going.
Yeah.
It's like when we went to the moon, you know, the government had all the money, we're going to get to the moon. That's the kind of energy we need these days. You know, we need that energy. So I'm hoping that the people from Stellantis, if they come here next year, will see what's going on in the history here, because there is so much history in this country. And again, Chrysler is, in my opinion, is a middle-class car company. I'm going to sell it to the masses. And they have upper scale stuff and they have lower scale, but generally it's to the middle class of this country.
What put them on the map was the '70, the Model B, and the B70 was the first car that would, model, given the number for how fast it would go at the time, even though they had horrible roads, four-wheel
hydraulic brakes.
Four-wheel hydraulic brakes.
You know where he got those from? Chrysler was in the railroad business, and all railroad cars had hydraulic brakes. That's where he got that from. And also the new Chrysler in 1924. And this is just a little fact. It's not much. I remember my grandmother telling me it had the horn was a beep beep. It wasn't like Oga. It went beep beep beep. You could always tell when Chryslers were around because it had a distinctive sound, especially in New York City where there's thousands of cars. So I remember her telling me that you could always tell that their cars.
That's cool.
Yeah, I thought it was a cool story. So
all right, thanks guys. Thanks for showing us the history. That's incredible.
Ladies and gentlemen, what we're about to unveil here is a car that it blows all the engineers' mind. This car was hand built in a period of about 9 months, taken from a restored car, 57 Plymouth. This car was actually a gift to this man for his wedding, on his wedding day. This was about 13 years ago. He then contacted a man out of Egg Harbor City, New Jersey, by the name of James Carlisle. He says, "Man, I want to take it to the next level." He goes into a sub shop to order a sub, flips his phone open, and Chrysler actually made a mistake and put the Demon 170 online for sale. So he goes in to order a $6 bagel and comes out with a Demon 170 engine. Chrysler, 2 of those slipped through the cracks within there. So we're going to uncover it and talk about it. Ladies and gentlemen, the 1957 Plymouth built by James Carlisle for Vinnie Capitoni. Her name is Darlene. Ladies and gentlemen, make some noise. Now what sets this car apart is James originally did this car for Vinnie, like I said, years ago, when they decided to upgrade it. The difference with this build compared to most builds is one man did all the work. He did the chassis, he did the paint, he did the body, he did the interior. He put in the Demon 170. He took 2 factory Chrysler wiring harnesses apart and made that engine work with a push-button Chrysler transmission. No rear end sensors, no anti-lock sensors. None of the late model stuff that's on the Challenger Demon 170 is in this car, but yet it'll crank up right now and run down the road. This car is actually an engineering masterpiece in its own. You need to look at it. And this man right here, Mr. James Carlisle, a good friend of mine, we met here 4 years ago. James, this car is absolutely amazing.
Jimmy!
So tell us how much time it took to redo it, and obviously Vinnie made a bad decision or a good decision. And I want to start with something first. Vinnie, why a Demon 170?
Why not?
Guys from New York, they're not just short for words. You know how they are. Go ahead.
So, having this odd opportunity to purchase one of the two engines that they released, why not put one of the greatest Hemi engines in modern time into one of the prettiest Plymouths ever built? And that was the idea behind it. But this is a gentleman who could do it all, and he certainly did, and he outshined it.
James, this thing's absolutely amazing. Even my dad, who's been around this stuff forever, says that you're not human. So, what prompted you to take this to take on this project for Vinny?
Well, 57 and 58 Plymouths are my specialty, and this one was also close to my heart, as it was mine for 10 years prior to it becoming a gift for Vinny. So, when we first endeavored, the original plan was a 512 stroker, which is kind of my baseline engine for most of my builds at this point. And when we found the opportunity to use the Demon 170, he said, "Are you willing to do it?" And I said, "Yeah." Good thing I didn't build that B case 727, switched to an A case. So I prepared and built a small block Bell 727, 65, Scorpio trans. The only stock part of the trans is the case, output shaft, tail shaft, rear pump, those things. The rest is all CRT built internals. Built to handle the 1,025 horse or the Demon 170 engine. We went with a Curry 9-inch with 350 gears, sprung on Calvert split monoliths and Cal tracks. Several modifications to the chassis in preparation. The springs moved inboard, boxed the chassis, had to do a lot of modifications to the cross member to accommodate the Gen 3 Hemi. And at that point, you know, it was a matter of, as Vinny said and Herb mentioned, taking it to the next level. Last year I debuted a car named Eva, a plum crazy dual quad 300D powered 58 Fury. And at that point the only Plymouth left to top was my own, and that was the mission with this one. And I think we hit the mark. The premise of this car was to not give away the drivetrain. So at quick glance from the exterior, there are no modern features. It was born a 57 Savoy and now presents itself as a 58 Belvedere by trim level. The hubcaps are 71 Fury, which emulate the 58 hubcaps since you had to run 15-inch wheels on it. The interior is reminiscent of a 57 Fury and a 57 Belvedere. However, there are slight modifications throughout to make it once again unique. The dashboard alone has about 17 modifications, including relocating the glove box, the radio, and adding a fully padded dash. And this is the third 57 or 58 Plymouth with a fully padded dash likely in existence, since I did the first one for release in 2019. And each time, you know, just keeps getting better and better. With every build, you find improvements that can be made along the way, and there's already a few during the on-site engineering, I like to call it. Everything was a step-by-step process of uncharted waters, and pretty much an engine that there was no aftermarket available for at this point, since it's not a part of the aftermarket yet. You know that guy? Turn it back to her.
I want to say one other thing too. This guy posts daily updates on Facebook. Fury Jim, you can find him on there. But he has a shop partner, and I want to bring him up here. This was not planned. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the smartest 10-year-old you'll ever meet in your life. So in all these pictures when this car was getting built, this kid right here was deciding. Every day, every picture, there's 1,000 pictures of him sanding body work, there's pictures of him grinding. I'm not so sure he did the wiring in the wiring harness, but he will one day, don't worry. But this is truly a family operation. James' wife, Alyssa, and Vinny, your wife, Tasha, who actually did this car, is a wedding present. So men out there, if you're willing to not buy you a car like this for a wedding present, then hold it against you. That's all I gotta say.
And I have to be honest, I never intended for this to be, I don't know if I want to say for a celebrity, but you know, for someone that people know. But for anybody who doesn't know, there's somebody out there in this world that does so much for this hobby and doesn't always get appreciated and seen for what he does. I've been doing this, like Bill said, for about 18 years, traveling all over coast to coast to hit the different shows. And there's somebody who's pretty much in all of them. And he is pretty well known in the hobby. But he's kind of standing right down here, Mr. Robert Wolf. The magazine that he puts together, the effort that he goes to. A lot of people think he's just, you know, somebody that puts this magazine together. Come on up this way, Rob. But he just does so much. The man travels everywhere. I don't know how he does it. He goes to 10 times the shows that I go to. Anytime I need something, he's got a connection, hooks me up, you know, gets us the cool cars that are here. And this wasn't just my decision. We do kind of have a underground committee that does this, and it was pretty unanimous. So Rob, thank you very much. We really appreciate it. I don't want to put you on the spot, but you got a word or two to say.
Hopefully it's not the end of my lifetime, number one. Hopefully we're going to hear for a long time to come, but tell us surprise, Ed. Thank you so much.
That's what we like to do, is to keep it a surprise. Honestly, this guy does so much for the hobby.
While Carlisle is billed as a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday show, it seems each year the parts vendors set up earlier and earlier. Many are completely set up by Wednesday, and by Thursday the fairgrounds are abuzz with early bird shoppers looking for all the good stuff. All right, I'm here with US Car Tool, and they've got some new great product here that we hadn't seen before. Tell us about these new brakes.
So this is the Superbird brand, and we make disc brake conversion brackets so that you can put a late model rotor and caliper onto your original drum brake spindle.
Now tell me about the Superbird brand. That's been around for a while, right?
Superbird brand's been a while. We bought the company about a year ago.
Okay.
And the Superbird brand makes parts for cars from the 30s all the way up through 2000.
Right.
And their sweet spot is cars that want to keep your original wheel.
Okay.
So our rotor and caliper combinations fit underneath your original. This is a C-body.
So this is a 15-inch wheel.
This is actually a 14 by 5.5.
Okay.
And this is our C-body kit. So this fits the 65 to 72 C-bodies. It goes on your original drum brake spindle. We include a bracket. You can't, hard to see in here, but there's a wheel bearing spacer.
Right.
And then we specify you get the Cordoba rotor, and you buy a caliper locally from your auto parts store. This one uses a GM sized Cadillac rotor caliper. And then that will actually fit underneath your drum brake 14 by 5.5.
So you're selling everything but the actual calipers.
We sell you the brackets and all the rotor, any other hardware that you need.
Right.
You get the rotor and caliper locally.
Right.
Because if you ever need replacement parts, you know exactly what they just
on
go to
the road at O'Reilly or wherever. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Cool.
Exactly.
Well, that's cool stuff.
Now for the Mopar, for the small block kits,
small bolt kits.
These are the A-body kits. Sorry.
Okay.
These are the A-body ones. We've got them for the 10-inch drum and for the 9-inch drum brake kits.
Okay.
These reuse your original hub. So you take the drum off the hub, use your original hub, and then we specify a Toyota Previa. Can't say that word. Rotor, and you have to re-drill it to the 5-on-4 bolt pattern.
Okay.
We have them already pre-drilled and machined on the back. There's a little clearance for the stud.
So we can order in those.
So you can order that.
Yeah.
You can order the rotor, and then that's a simple bolt. These come with bearing spacer, everything you need to be able to put it on, and it keeps your original 5-on-4 bolt pattern. And this is a 14 by 4.5-inch wheel, and it fits underneath that.
Okay.
So
looks good. So this is the spacer for the hub.
And these are not quite in production yet, but these are hubs. Some of our other cars, like the 40s and 50s Mopars, they need a custom hub.
Okay.
So you can't reuse your original brake drum hub. These will be the replacement for the disc brake hubs. And these were in production, and I had an engineer look at them, and we've gone over the FEA, the finite element analysis, to make sure they're strong enough.
Right.
And we've changed some of the dimensions. We bought a CNC lathe to be able to make this. Our lathe isn't quite big enough. So now we have to buy another lathe.
And when will these be available?
These are probably another 90 days.
And the brakes are ready to go now?
Most of the brakes are ready. We got about 40 out of the 150 products up for sale.
We're going to work our way over here to see your C-body parts, but I couldn't help but notice this, what you were doing this weekend. So you are actually bead rolling custom aluminum door panels?
And other, we made a bunch of little artwork pieces. That one was from a Superbird.
Right.
John Breach, which I think you selected as the as your celebrity pick.
Oh, for the Daytona. Yeah.
Well, we actually did that restoration.
Oh, the Superbird, yeah.
The Superbird, sorry.
Yeah, you did a great job on the nose.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we built that nose from scratch.
Yeah.
We actually built two of them. The one that didn't come out right is hanging on the wall.
Okay.
And John asked for the Superbird emblem, so we did that for him.
But the door panel idea is really cool for the street rod guys. And,
and we laser cut the blank panel, and then whatever you want to do on it, we'll put it on there.
That's awesome.
So
that's awesome.
Bead roll them, tuft them. You know, we've got a new set of brackets. These are prototypes. This is to put an HP 70 behind your factory small block in an A-body. So we've got a couple guys in the shop that are doing this, and we get a lot of attention for it. So we actually came up with a bracket that fits. You have to cut the center of your torsion bar cross member out to make the transmission fit. But this one uses the outer holes that are left over, bolts up to the transmission, and uses that standard GM style biscuit mount.
So is this actually stronger than what was there before?
It is. We're still going to do, we still use our transmission tunnel perimeter frame to beef up the inside. This has a full 12 gauge structure underneath that puts all the structure back in when you cut that truncheon bar out.
Okay.
So, yeah. So the mount is, although it's beefy, we've got a philosophy that says nothing overbuilt ever broke.
Right.
So even though the mount is beefy, it's not designed to replace that structure the transmission tunnel perimeter frame is.
Gotcha.
Yep.
You guys are known for your frame connectors.
Classic.
I mean,
chassis stiffening, frame connectors, torque boxes.
Yep. But now you've got some for C-bodies?
Yep. So these were brand new prototypes that we brought to the show. So we're still looking for some test pilots to fill in the gaps. We don't have every floor pattern, but these were taken off of a 66 Polara. And the way I make these in the shop now, I scan the bottom of the floor, and then I do the work in the CAD program, and I make them fit perfect to the floor. So when they cut the first ones for me, and I go and put them up under, I'm amazed how close they fit.
On.
Because they are perfect. They're like fitting a jigsaw.
How do you feel about the C-body market? Is that coming on strong for you guys?
We've always had requests from the C-body guys, prototypes, so we haven't had any actual customers yet. We put them on. We got a 66 Polara in the shop. We put them on, and we've got a 71 Fury.
I feel it's a good and up-and-coming market. It's an affordable car to get into and play with.
So, yeah. And they have a front removable stub. So ours are designed to not touch the front stub if you want to leave it removable.
Right.
Or if you weld that, you just have to be ready to cut it off when you're going to. We include a little L bracket. You just cut it off if you ever want to take the stub out. We've talked to a lot of C-body owners. Nobody's ever removed their stuff.
So a lot of great stuff. Where do people find you?
USCTmotorsports.com, or come on down to Graham, North Carolina. We'll take you for a walk through the shop.
Wonderful. Thanks for your time.
You bet. Thanks, Rob.
One of the main reasons I go to Chrysler at Carlisle each year is the sheer diversity of Mopars that can be found here. Here's something you never see: a pristine Plymouth Aero pickup. Speaking of something you never see, how about this beautiful Brazilian Charger that was one of the highlights of this year's show? The McCandless family showed off their latest acquisition, the Sox and Martin prepped Brooklyn Heavy, a 1971 Cuda convertible race car from back in the day. When it comes to wildlife stories, this Superbird took the prize. All right, we ran into a weird one here. This is John, and he's got a Superbird, but it's one of the craziest stories I've ever heard. So how did this thing get started, and tell me the evolution of what happened here?
Always wanted one, and then back in the 90s, late 90s, I had the opportunity of trading a 69 Barracuda Fastback with a 426 Street Hemi in it for an even up body, an empty Superbird body. Had the video or VCR tape, sent it to Galen. He looked at it and said, yes, it is a bird. So I said, okay, went ahead with the deal. Took it back, it was an empty shell. The story that I got was that the car had been driven to the body shop. Individual that drove it there got in trouble with the law. He put the car, his uncle was a lawyer, put the car up for collateral. By the time the uncle came back to get the funds, the car was just an empty shell. So not really sure.
So everything disappeared in the meantime?
Kind of disappeared.
Right.
So I picked up just an empty shell, 4 wheels and tires and steering column.
Right.
Pieced a bunch of stuff together. That was back in '98. Early 2000s, I was at Rockingham, and an individual said that he knew this car, worked at the body shop, that it had the work done to it. So called the body shop. Nobody knew anything about anything, so it's a different. So I don't know what the rest of that story is. So then back in 2017, left a car show in Rayford, North Carolina, and I was in my Barracuda. My girlfriend at the time was in this behind me. I looked in the rear view, she was there. I looked in the rear view, she was there. I looked in the rear view, she was gone. Somebody tried to carjack her. The car got away from her, and thus the accident and the fire happened.
So the car caught on fire.
The rest of the car, and I just, I didn't look at it for about a year and a half in the garage. I just lifted it up, smelled it, put the door back down, and didn't go there for a while. And then about a year and a half later, it's like, okay, it's time to put it back together.
Well, that's a crazy story. So when did you start putting it back together?
About 5 years ago.
Okay.
Actually started doing it. US Car Tool did the metal work.
Right.
And then Queen City Auto Body in Charlotte, North Carolina, did the paint and body, and I put the puzzle back together.
Well, US Car Tool did the nose cone for you too, because you were missing that. So they spent a lot of time and effort on that. Yeah. So it's a beautiful piece. So I'm glad you brought it out and told the story. That's a crazy story. So thank you so much. The car itself is a 440.
It's supposed to be a white bench seat interior, 440. automatic on the column, but since I didn't have the engine,
Yeah.
I wanted the 6-pack and went with the black bucket.
Love the wheels. They make it. You don't see many with nice wheels on them. As always, if you want to see more stories on these cars and many more from this year's Chryslers at Carlisle, make sure you have a subscription to the only Mopar magazine that matters, Mopar Collector's Guide. That's a wrap from Carlisle 2024. This has been Robert Wolf reporting, and until next time, I'll see you on the pages of MCG. Also, if you like this video, please smash the like button. And if you want to see more like this one, hit the subscribe to Mopar TV button. It's absolutely free and will help us bring more content to you every month.